Hey everybody, can you believe it? It's almost March. In just a few days we will be moving into the latter portion of the first quarter of the year. So I hope that your new year is off to a great start. For those of you all who are not familiar with me, my name is Kristin Davis. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, where I treat individuals, families, and couples. I am an intergenerational therapist, which means that I work with individuals to trace patterns of behavior back through up to 3 generations. And I look at those patterns of behavior and those the history over time to help people to understand who they are and how that information has helped to make them who they are. So today I am coming online to share something that I have seen as a trend in treating individuals in my practice, and that I've also saw as a bit of a trend in dating and in relationships. So today what I want to do is to kind of share 3 tips with you that I think can help to enhance your romantic relationships and help to demystify some of the experiences that we're having in our relationships that lead to distress or unhappiness. So let's just get right into it, because I don't want this to be a long video and I'm trying to do this quickly. So the first tip is that you cannot change a person. Far too often I see this time and time again, that in the dating process we meet a really great person, we fall for them, and we notice those nuances of the little things that don't work for us, but somehow in our psyche we begin to convince ourselves that once we marry the person or once we get into a relationship, that in some way we will be able to change them. We'll be able to shift and to change the behaviors that we see that don't work for us. And what I will tell you is that what I've seen through my experience as a therapist and what I've seen through studying relationships is that you cannot force a person to change. You cannot. A person can only change if they so choose to. So I always teach my couples that you don't have any control over the person. I actually teach them that your control stops about here, and then beyond that point you really don't have any control, especially if you're in relationships with adults. You can't control them. A person is only going to change if they want to. Now, you may have influence over that person. You may have influence over some of their decisions out of their love for you, out of their care for you, out of their desire to want the relationship to be stable or for you to be happy. They may choose to change their behavior, but you cannot force a person to change. You also cannot change them. So I think that accepting that truth and going into romantic relationships having that as an understanding can help us to more authentically experience each other and the relationships that we're trying to develop. So that's point number 1. You cannot change a person. You cannot force a person to change. Point number 2, if you are unable to love yourself, it will be extremely difficult for you to love someone else. Now, I recognize that self-love can be a very, oh, I have to sneeze. Maybe not. I'm not even gonna edit that out. Struggling with allergies, it's been a rough few days. But, so back to self-love. So I recognize that for many people, self-love is a very kind of abstract concept, and it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? You know, what does it mean to love yourself? And the best way that I define it or help describe it to people is that think about the love that you want to feel from other people, the things that you desire to get from another person, the ways that you want to be treated, the manner in which you want to be respected, the manner in which you want to be honored. Take all of that and package it and figure out a way that you can be all those things to yourself first, which means that you would have to have a deeper understanding of yourself, which oftentimes means that you will have to spend probably some time in isolation or some time with yourself to fully understand who you are, what you want, what makes you tick, what triggers you, what doesn't work for you. You have to have a deep understanding of that before you're able to love someone else. Because what will happen if you don't have that understanding is that you will go into a relationship with an expectation that the other person is there to fulfill all the needs that you have. And the reality of that is that just simply cannot happen. There's not a person on the planet that you're going to meet that can meet all of your needs. No one's going to even be able to understand all the minute nuances of who you are in that way that they can be absolutely everything that you need. So this is what we call, autonomy is what I teach my clients, how you can have autonomy and you can have self-differentiation, which means that you recognize where you end and you recognize where your partner begins. And it's not this enmeshment that means that we are each other, we're totally entangled, and everything that you do, I do, everything that you think, I think. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have a great connection with the person where they may very well understand you in a very deep way, but to position a person or to have an expectation that a person is to be everything that you need in every aspect of your life is to set that person up for failure, because they are fallible as we are as well, and no one will ever be able to fulfill that. So tip number 2 is that you have to have self-love and a full understanding of who you are first as a foundation before you can go out and be able to adequately love others. Now, tip number 3 is that the dating process, okay, so in the getting to know each other, that process is about observation, learning, and relational growth. Okay, so let me explain why that's important. Sometimes we get into the dating process and we believe that dating is about nailing a spouse permanently. So we enter into the dating process with the intention to nail a husband or to nail a wife and to basically get out of the game, get out of the dating game. Okay, and trust me, I get it. I get it. You want to be out of the dating game if you want to be in a committed long-term relationship. However, the dating process should be a process in which you are observing. You're observing the person's behavior. You're observing how they treat you, how they treat others, how they treat themselves. And here's the reason why. I teach my couples that you take everything that you are in your singleness into your marriage, and sometimes times 4. So what that means is that once you decide to evolve from a dating process into a more committed long-term relationship, and especially if you're intending to move towards marriage, the question that you should be asking yourself is, can I live with and can I love this person as they are? Not as how I would like for them to be, not based upon the potential that I think that they have, that I'm thinking, well, based upon the potential that I see that they have, this is what it's going to evolve into, and also not based upon what you think you will be able to change in them. Because the reality is that the only thing that you have available to you is what you see and what you know in the present moment. So the decision should be, how can I move forward based upon who this person is to me right now, based upon my observation, based upon my learning, and based upon the evolution of our relationship and who they are in this present moment. Because while potential is great, and while all of us have infinite potential to be fantastic and fabulous, the reality is if we do not activate that potential and we don't actually do something with it, then there's no guarantee that we're going to have any type of an outcome in the future. So you can only go by what you have in the present moment. So tip number 3 is that the dating process should be about observation, learning, and relational development, right? So we're not out here dating only potential. What we're doing is we're dating and we're watching and we're observing and we're looking at who the person is right now, because that's a better indicator of who they probably are going to be long-term into marriage or into a long-term relationship. Okay, so really quickly, just to recap the tips that will help to enhance your romantic relationships and give you a more firm foundation. Number one is that you cannot change a person, and you can't force a person to change. Who they are is who they are. Tip number two is that if you're unable to love yourself and you haven't really settled into self-love and understanding yourself, it will be very challenging to love another person because there's no foundational understanding of what your needs are. And then tip number three is that the dating process is not about necessarily nailing a person and nailing a relationship long term. Yes, that is the intention. You put that intention out there if that's what you want. But the dating process really is more about observation. We're watching to see what the person does and how they treat themselves, how they treat others, and how they treat us. And then we're also learning them and learning who they are. And we're also allowing the relationship to evolve in the manner in which it has been designed to evolve. Okay, so really quickly before I get off, for those of you in the Charlotte area, I would love to invite you to an event that I am going to be a part of with two dear friends, Nashay Faulkner and Felicia Hall. We are doing an event called The Art of Healing, in which we will be sharing with all of our guests ways that you can heal the inner self. I'll be teaching about inner healing. How do you heal the inner self? How do you start that process? Nashay will be teaching about meditation and yoga. How can you use physical movement as a matter of healing? And then Felicia is going to teach about the chakra points, teach about the chakras, how to heal the chakras, and in particular, how to heal the chakras using essential oils and aromatherapy. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. It's going to be on March the 2nd. You'll see the information on the screen at Cross Yoga in Mount Holly. So we strongly encourage you to come out and join us. We love to have you there as our guest because we believe it's going to be a great experience. All of our participants are going to leave with a swag bag of gifts and things to help to enhance your healing journey. So please share the information with all of your friends and invite anyone that you feel that may be in a space where they need healing. Share the information with them. Excuse me. And then finally, I would like to announce that I am now a part of the Talkspace family. Talkspace is a platform that allows therapists to provide affordable care to individuals all over the world through text and through video therapy. So I recognize it as a therapist that the traditional form of therapy is not the only way to help people and the only way to treat them, and that there needs to be different modalities and different ways to reach people and help them to heal. So I am a part of the Talkspace family. You will see information on the screen about that, and then I will also drop down in the description below the actual link where you can go and sign up for services through Talkspace. It's a beautiful, beautiful process that I think is going to be really great, especially for those who have really busy schedules, may not have the time to actually sit down with someone face to face, but they still need treatment and they still need help dealing with the distress and the difficult areas of their life. So I encourage you to please share that information with your friends as well that may need help. And as always, I am so grateful that you took the time to share this 13 minutes and 33 seconds with me to learn ways about how to enhance your romantic relationships. Until next time.